Hello and welcome to this edition of News for the Hearing Impaired. I'm Rukma and with me is Sonu. Let's begin with the headlines. Union Cabinet takes key decisions to improve space science by opening up space assets for private sector participation in the entire range of space activities. Newly created In-Space Center to provide level playing field for private companies to use space infrastructure. PM Modi lauds the move as yet another step towards making our nation self-reliant and technologically advanced. In other landmark decisions to boost sectoral growth and employment, Cabinet approves bringing 1,540 cooperative banks under RBI's supervision. 15,000 crore infrastructure development fund set up for development of animal husbandry sector. PM Modi says move will boost income of farmers, give impetus to investment and sectoral infrastructure. Working mechanism for consultation and coordination on India-China border affairs holds 15th meeting. Emphasis laid on both sides to strictly respect and observe LAC. Both sides agree to maintain communication at diplomatic and military level to resolve existing situation peacefully. Government provides further relief for taxpayers, extending various time limits for compliance, extends deadline for filing IT returns for financial year 2018 to 19 till 31st July 2020. Also extends deadline for IT returns for year 2019 to 20 till 30th November 2020. India's recovery rate improves to over 56% with 2.58 lakh recoveries. Active cases cross 1,83,000 with 14,476 fatalities. Tamil Nadu intensifies lockdown measures in some districts, imposes travel restrictions till June 30th. West Bengal extends lockdown till 31st July. Global corona cases rise over 94 lakh with over 4,82,000 deaths world over. US notices second largest rise in new cases since crisis began. California sees 69% rise in 2 days. WHO beholds 10 millionth coronavirus case next week. US State Department report indicts Pakistan on support terrorism, says Pakistan continues to serve as safe haven for terror groups targeting India and Afghanistan. Emphasizes Islamabad is yet to take decisive action against terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed to undermine their operational capabilities. And now for our top story, the government has taken a far-reaching decision which will have a direct impact to enhance a sense of security to about 8.6 crore account holders in cooperative banks. The Cabinet has decided to bring 1,540 cooperative banks under RBI supervision. This will include 1,482 urban cooperative banks and 58 multi-state cooperative banks, which are now being brought under supervisory powers of Reserve Bank. The decision will give an assurance to more than 8.6 crore depositors in these banks that their money amounting to 4.84 lakh crore rupees will stay safe. RBI's powers as they apply to scheduled banks will apply for cooperative banks as well.
अपने देश में 1482 अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक है और 58 है मल्टी स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स। आज इनके बारे में एक अध्यादेश पारित किया है। अब वो राष्ट्रपति के पास आएगा कि ये सारी बैंक 1540 है, ये तुरंत प्रभाव से आरबीआई के सुपरविजन पावर में आ जाएंगे आरबीआई की जो सुपरवाइजिंग की तरीका है शेड्यूल बैंक के लिए भी, वही इन कोऑपरेटिव बैंकों पर लागू होगा।
The Union Cabinet also approved 2% interest subvention to Shishu loan category borrowers under Prime Minister's Mudra Yojana scheme.
मुद्रा लोन्स आपको पता है लगभग 18 से 20 करोड़ लोगों को मिले। ये सबसे बड़ा स्मॉल लोन प्रोग्राम्स है, एक तरह से दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा स्मॉल बैंक लोन का प्रोग्राम है। इसके अंतर्गत एकदम ही छोटा, जिसका 50,000 तक का लोन होता है, ऋण होता है, उसको शिशु लोन स्कीम कहते हैं। और इस ऐसे 9 करोड़ 37 लाख लोगों को लोन मिला है। इन लाभार्थियों को अब ब्याज में 2% की छूट मिलेगी।
The Union Cabinet also approved the declaration of Kushinagar Airport in Uttar Pradesh as an international airport.
कुशीनगर बुद्धिस्ट सर्कल का एक तरह से मध्य बिंदु है, लेकिन वहां अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर का एयरपोर्ट नहीं था। अब वो कुशीनगर में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एयरपोर्ट हो रहा है, हवाई अड्डा हो रहा है, जिसमें 3 किलोमीटर की एयर स्ट्रिप बन चुकी है। अब कोई भी एयरबस जैसा बड़ा जहाज भी उतर सकता है। और मुझे विश्वास है जैसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय यातायात शुरू होगी, यहां भी विमान आने लगेंगे और यहां से बुद्धिस्ट सर्किट को जाने वालों को बहुत सुविधा होगी।
The Cabinet further approved the extension of tenure of the Commission constituted under Article 340 of the Constitution to examine the issue of subcategorization within other backward classes by 6 months up to 31st January 2021. The Union Cabinet then took an important decision regarding the opening up of space assets for the private sector in the country. Briefing the media after the Cabinet meeting, Union Minister Jitendra Singh gave details of the landmark decision.
इसरो जहां है वो वहां कायम है। इसरो का रोल सीमित नहीं है, ये दूसरी संस्था जो है उसको सप्लीमेंट कर रही है। बेसिकली चूंकि हमने ये जो न्यू स्पेस इंडिया लिमिटेड है प्राइवेट सेक्टर यूनिट, इसका रोल एक्सटेंड किया टू फैसिलिटेट प्राइवेट पार्टिसिपेशन। अब उस सारे को कैसे रेगुलेट करना और समन्वय बनाना, उसके लिए एक नई संस्था एक ही बनी है और वो कोई अलग से साइंटिफिक संस्था नहीं है। इसका नाम ही है इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस प्रमोशन एंड ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। तो ये सबको जोड़ करके जो भी प्लान्स बनेंगे कैसे चलाने आगे, और अब उसका मैकेनिज्म अभी उसकी रचना हो रही है।
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath expressed gratitude to the Prime Minister and the Union Cabinet for approving the proposal to give international status to Kushinagar Airport. Kushinagar is an important place in the Buddhist circuit.
तथागत बुद्ध की महापरिनिर्वाण स्थली कुशीनगर स्थित जो एक निर्माणाधीन एयरपोर्ट है, उसे इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट के रूप में अपनी स्वीकृति देने के लिए मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का और केंद्रीय कैबिनेट का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और उत्तर प्रदेश वासियों को इसकी मैं हृदय से अपनी शुभकामनाएं भी देता हूं।
The 15th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held through video conference yesterday. The Indian delegation was led by Joint Secretary East Asia, while Director General of the Department of Boundary and Oceanic Affairs of the Chinese MFA led the Chinese delegation. The two sides discussed in detail the developments in the India-China border areas, in particular the situation in eastern Ladakh, The Indian side conveyed its concerns on the recent developments in eastern Ladakh, including on the violent face-off in Galwan Valley area on the 15th of June that had resulted in casualties. In this regard, it was emphasized that both sides should strictly respect and observe the line of actual control. The two sides recalled the conversation last week between External Affairs Minister and the Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister, His Excellency Wang Yi, and reaffirmed that both sides should sincerely implement the understanding on disengagement and de-escalation that was reached by senior commanders on the 6th of June. The two delegations agreed that implementation of this understanding expeditiously in accordance with the bilateral agreements and protocols would help ensure peace and tranquility in border areas and the development of broader relationship between the two countries. In this context, they also took note of the discussions in the second meeting of the senior commanders held on 22nd June. The two sides also agreed to maintain communication both at diplomatic and military level, including under the framework of WMCC, to resolve the existing situation peacefully. And our correspondent Amritpal Singh gets us this report from Leh. Let's listen in.
Diplomatic talks on Wednesday reaffirmed their commitment to the de-escalation and the disengagement process, which was agreed upon at the Corps Commanders level meet on the 6th of June, and then reiterated their commitment to the de-escalation process. They reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining peace, calm and tranquility along the line of actual control. And ahead of this disengagement process, the Army Chief visited forward locations along the line of actual control on Wednesday. He was in Leh for a two-day review of the operational preparedness of the Army units. He interacted with formation commanders and took stock of the situation. He also interacted with troops and boosted their morale by giving them commendation cards of the Chief of Army Staff for exceptional devotion to duty. On Tuesday, he had met the soldiers who were injured in the violent incident on the 14th and 15th night, who were recovering at the military hospital at Leh, and boosted their morale. With cameraman Sumit Naudyal, Amritpal Singh, DD India, Leh.
BJP National President JP Nadda has launched a scathing attack on the Gandhi family and the Congress party. Without naming anyone, Nadda said on Twitter that one royal dynasty is asking questions to the government and accused its followers of peddling the fake narrative. Speaking about the Congress stance of repeatedly questioning the government over handling of border issues at the recently held all-party meet, where the rest of the opposition extended support to the government, Nadda said it is the opposition's right to ask questions. The all-party meeting saw healthy deliberations, with several opposition leaders giving their valuable inputs. They also fully supported the centre in determining the way ahead. One family was an exception. Any guesses who? The BJP president said that a rejected and ejected dynasty is not equal to the entire opposition. One dynasty's interests are not India's interests. Today, the nation is united and supportive of our armed forces. This is the time for unity and solidarity. Relaunch of the Sion for the nth time can wait. The BJP chief also shared the response of then Union Minister R.S. Chaudhary in Rajya Sabha in 2012, in which he had admitted that both Pakistan and China were illegally occupying Indian territory. While sharing a clip of Chaudhary's remarks in the Rajya Sabha, Nadda said, due to the misadventures of one dynasty, we lost thousands of square kilometers of our land. The Siachen Glacier was almost gone, and much more. No wonder India has rejected them. Senior BJP leader and party spokesperson Sambit Patra today lambasted Vadra Gandhi family for giving up over 78,000 kilometers land of Indian territory to Pakistan and China. He lashed out at the erstwhile government under the leadership of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh that the dynastic politics during their tenure ended up ceding Indian land.
43,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर के विषय में अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी के चिट्ठी में बात हुई थी, जिसको लेकर मां बेटे रोज सवाल पूछ रहे हैं। मैं आज हिंदुस्तान से सवाल पूछ रहा हूं। 78,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर, ये सवाल नड्डा जी की तरफ से आज समस्त हिंदुस्तान मां बेटे से, बिकॉज दे आर डायनास्ट्स, और इन्हीं मां बेटे ने भ्रम की राजनीति, भ्रमजान फैलाया है। मां बेटे ये जवाब दे कि आपके परिवार ने, क्योंकि जितने भी मुख्यतः ये ट्रीटी साइन हुई है आपके परिवार या आपके परिवार के नीचे जिन लोगों ने काम किया है उनके द्वारा किया गया है, क्यों दिया 78,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर की जमीन आपने?
Addressing media, the BJP spokesperson said the Indian Army had thwarted the attempts of the Congress and Nehru Gandhi Vadra family to give away Siachen to Pakistan.
सियाचिन को पाकिस्तान को देने की सारी बात तय हो चुकी थी, किंतु आज मैं इस प्लेटफॉर्म से आर्मी को साष्टांग प्रणाम करता हूं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी आर्मी को साष्टांग प्रणाम करती है कि डायनास्टी ने, मां बेटे ने, नेहरू गांधी वाड्रा परिवार ने यह तय कर लिया था कि सियाचिन की भूमि भी पाकिस्तान को दे दी जाए, किंतु आर्मी ने इंटरवीन किया, आर्मी ने गुहार लगाई, आर्मी ने इस पे ऑब्जेक्शन दिया, और आर्मी के जनरल का नाम भी यहां मौजूद है, आर्मी चीफ जनरल जे सिंह, उनके कहने के पश्चात इस डील को स्क्रैप किया गया। उल्टी लटक गई थी कांग्रेस पार्टी की जमीन देना है। यह महानता है आर्मी की, यह महानता है आर्मी की कि आर्मी ने हमारे जमीन को बचाया।
Sambit Patra further said the royal family was behaving like property dealers since the inception of India.
They were behaving as property dealers. Let me not mince my words today to state that this particular royal dynasty clan, the Vadra clan, was behaving as a property dealer since inception of India, and the family was giving out land to China. ये जो परिवार है जिसको वाड्रा परिवार के नाम से आज जाना जाता है, शुरू से ही जब से भारतवर्ष आजाद हुआ है इस परिवार ने एक प्रॉपर्टी डीलर के रूप में बिहेव किया है। इन्होंने हिंदुस्तान की जमीन को दूसरे देशों में बांटा है। 78,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर की जमीन इन्होंने चीन और पाकिस्तान को दिया है।
Amid a spike in COVID-19 cases without any travel history in Guwahati, the Assam government has imposed a 14-day complete lockdown in the city in 11 wards from Tuesday night. The administration has decided to impose ward-wise lockdown in the city to prevent community transmission of COVID-19. However, essential item shops will remain open from morning 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. in the evening. An intense lockdown has come into effect in Madurai in Tamil Nadu from today till June 30th. The lockdown was imposed by the Tamil Nadu government following an alarming rise in COVID-19 cases in a bid to give the authorities time to check the spread of the virus. The lockdown is in force in Madurai Corporation Limited limits all village panchayats of Madurai East and West, Paravai Town Panchayat and Thiruparangundram. The lockdown has exempted some services including milk supply, hospitals, labs, pharmacies, ambulances and funeral hearse vans. Rental auto, taxi and private vehicles are not allowed except for airport travel and emergency medical services. Vegetable, grocery, mobile shops and fuel pumps are permitted between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. Central and state government offices have been allowed to function with 33% attendance. Banks have been permitted to open with 33% staff only on June 29th and 30th, but ATMs will be functional. Services for old age people and old age homes, disabled people and orphanages are exempted. Construction and manufacturing activities have been permitted, availing workers on site during the lockdown period. A complete lockdown will be observed on June 28th with exemptions only for essential services. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also on Wednesday announced extension of the lockdown till July 31st with continuance of existing relaxations. The current spell of the lockdown was to end on June 30th. And an encounter is underway between terrorists and security forces at Har Shiva area in Sopore in North Kashmir. 2 to 3 terrorists are believed to be trapped. One terrorist has been killed. And news now coming in from Mumbai, a fire broke out at a bank in Nariman Point at around 5 this morning. Nearly 5 fire engine and 4 jumbo tankers are undertaking firefighting operations to douse the flames. The fire is confined to equipment of server room in the bank located on the ground floor in an area measuring around 4,000 square feet in the high-rise building. The building has 1 level basement, ground and upper 14 floors. No one is trapped inside. In order to provide further relief to taxpayers for making various compliances, the government has issued a notification, the salient features of which are as under. Time for filing of original as well as revised income tax returns for fiscal year 2018 to 19, annual year 2019 to 20 has been extended to 31st July 2020. Due date for income tax return for financial year 2019 to 20 has been extended to 30th November 2020. Hence, returns of income required to be filed by 31st July 2020 and 31st October 2020 can be filed up to 30th November 2020. Consequently, the date for furnishing tax audit report has also been extended to 31st October 2020. In order to provide relief to small and middle class taxpayers, the date for payment of self-assessment tax in the case of a taxpayer whose self-assessment tax liability is up to 1 lakh rupees has also been extended to 30th November 2020. The date for making various investments or payment for claiming deduction under Chapter 6A to B of the IT Act, which includes Section 80C, LIC, PPF, NSC, etc., ATD, Mediclaim, ATG, donations, etc., has also been further extended to 31st July 2020. Hence, the investment or payment can be made up to 31st July 2020 for claiming the deduction under these sections for fiscal year 2019 to 20. The date for linking of Aadhaar with PAN would also be extended to 31st March 2021. The Ministry of Railways reviewed the progress of Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan with zonal railways and railway PSUs through video conference meeting yesterday. Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan is in operation in 116 identified districts of 6 states: Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Jharkhand. Chairman Railway Board Vinod Kumar Yadav took a video conference meeting with general managers and divisional railway managers and managing directors of PSUs regarding the progress of Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan. Addressing the meeting, Yadav instructed zonal railways to appoint nodal officers in each district as well as in the states so that a close coordination is established with the state government. He directed railway administration at zonal level to act proactively to ensure migrants are engaged in projects and paid accordingly. Zonal railways have also been instructed to expedite execution of all ongoing infrastructure work in these identified districts. Nearly 160 works infrastructure works have been identified which are to be expedited. These would engage thousands of workers and roughly generate 8 lakh man-days of employment by the end of October 2020. Approximately 1800 crore rupees would be spent in these districts. Railways has also identified the number of railway works which can be executed through Manregas. The works are related to construction and maintenance of approach roads for level crossings, development and cleaning of silted waterways, trenches and drains along the track, construction and maintenance of approach road to railway stations, repair and widening of existing railway embankments or cuttings, plantation of trees at extreme boundary of railway land, and protection works of existing embankments or cuttings or bridges. Zonal railways have also been instructed to get sanction of proposed works under Manrega. Zonal railways would be monitoring the works on daily basis and submit report to ministry every Friday till end of October 2020. And that's all we have for you in this edition of News for the Hearing Impaired. Namaskar.